Keyboard warrior jailed for part in UK disorder. By pretty mystery at the BBC. Now, the sharp-eyed amongst you will notice that this is actually quite an old story. Almost a year's gone by, but this fella hasn't had very much support, and I've seen it floating around on Twitter very rarely, so I thought I'd do my part in order to bring this appalling, ludicrous travesty of justice to light. Because in the last 24 hours, I've seen several stories that genuinely alarmed me, whereby, as usual, angry foreign men are treated with kid gloves by the combative, aggressive, militant, tyrannical statists currently running the United Kingdom. Alright? So I'm going to run through this story, tell you why it's logical and rational that this man be released from custody immediately, and then, as usual, juxtapose it with some more recent stories whereby swarthy gentlemen that definitely don't look like they come from Aberdeen get lesser sentences for some truly heinous crimes. Exhibit A of today's lecture of the UK's upside-down justice system is this one. Tube passenger who killed gentle engineer 28 with one punch because he brushed past him on the escalator may serve less than 6 years in prison. That was published today on the Daily Mail and I shared it on my Twitter account. He will serve less than 6 years in prison, I guarantee you that. However, one thing that did make me smile in grim amusement is the Daily Mail's adding the caption at the bottom there on the left-hand side. Victim. Yeah, victim. On one side, we've got a skinny, spotty, stereotypical engineer, and on the other side, we've got a geezer who, let's just say, is disproportionately represented in violent crime statistics, especially in the home counties. Did we really need the caption? Find me one man in the UK who, if you showed those two pictures to and said one of these punched the other and killed him, find me anyone who'd point at the skinny white fella and go, he looks like a chewy bastard. Right then, ladies and gentlemen, this is Wayne O'Rourke, free Wayne O'Rourke. Let me list exactly what he did. The laundry list of appalling crimes that mean he deserves to be locked in prison for a very long time. A man who posted material on social media to stir up hatred, your opinion, has been jailed for 3 years. Wayne O'Rourke, who had more than 90,000 followers, not a crime. Posted misinformation, not a crime. About the killing of 3 young girls. Yes, that definitely is a crime, so people were justifiably angry about it. It wasn't just a crime, it was the worst crime ever committed ever on British soil in my lifetime, by far. The 35-year-old admitted publishing written material, well, there's his first mistake. Sentencing him, foreign-sounding judge Katerina Sojolin-Knight told him, you weren't caught up in what others were doing, you were instigating it. The flames fanned by keyboard warriors like you. Ah, okay, so he definitely wasn't instigating it, and he definitely didn't fan any flames, because you've just childishly called him a keyboard warrior in court. You know, like we're just doing juvenile name-calling here. Which, fair enough, I'm a fan of myself, but I'm not a judge, am I? I'm not legally bound to try and be impartial in a court of law. I bet people like her never insult the aforementioned punch you in the face and kill you for looking at me sideways. I bet you she doesn't personally insult people like that. But anyway, as you have seen, the man committed no crime. The crime was he had 90,000 followers on Twitter and he was daft enough to admit to a non-crime hate incident. A further post, well, what was the first one? Well, here we are. The court heard among his posts was a reference to the death of 3 children in Southport, alleging it was a terrorist attack carried out by a regular at Alan's Marvellous Snack Bar. And, ladies and gentlemen, I'm just putting this out there for you, it's a controversial take, I know, he was a regular at Alan's Marvellous Snack Bar, and they found the Al-Qaeda training manual in his bedroom. So there we go. So his crime there is telling the truth in a public place. Yeah, definitely worthy of jail. That what? Telling the truth in public when you live in England? We can't have that. A further post urged the people of Southport to get out on the street. Ooh, he told them to get out on the street. That's terrible, isn't it? Is telling people to get out on the street. I mean, he didn't even say something that you would think was like a jovial non-crime, like, get your cock out on the street. Yeah, it's technically illegal, but I don't think anyone would get jailed for jovially telling people to whip their appendages out in the street, would they? No. He didn't even do that. All he said was, get out on the street. If that's a crime, me mum wanted jailing because she threw me dad out the house 2 or 3 times a week. Other posts showed a picture of the County Road, Golden Bell End Church, and a picture of burning cars in Sunderland, with a post that said, Sunderland, go on lads. Okay, that's the only one that is remotely, possibly inciting. But again, all it is a picture, and he said, go on lads. Could be talking about a football match, couldn't he? Sunderland, go on lads. In another post, he said, Starmer has basically said it's us against them, hold the line, once again, 100% factually accurate and covered by dozens of mainstream journalists, newsreaders, talking heads, Matt Goodwin, Peter Hitchens. Dozens of journalists have pointed out that there most definitely is two-tier justice in the United Kingdom. There's this, there's Lucy Connolly, there's 100 other instances besides. It is us against them, hold the line. That is not a criminal activity. That is a factually accurate statement. Other posts said, numbers are important. Again, nothing criminal about that. Encouraging people to protest and give them hell, lads. And that's it. As usual, because he looks a certain way, none of his defence was worth anything. They didn't care that he's got no criminal record. They didn't care that he's his partner's carer. They didn't care about the fact that it was shortly after little girls were butchered like animals. And they didn't care about any of it. No previous convictions, no violent crime, nothing, 3 years in jail. This is an outrage. This is a national scandal. Free Wayne O'Rourke. He might not have a set of tits, so he doesn't get as much coverage as Lucy Connolly, but the fact that this man is in prison is an absolute outrage. And as promised, I can't be bothered covering a ton of stories because I'm sick of doing them. It depresses me that I know, you know, and the criminals know that if you look a certain way, you can commit crimes with impunity in the United Kingdom. So I'll just do one, okay? 3 years for this fella. 3 years for Lucy Connolly. Let's have a lucky dip in today's. You're not a pale ginger from the Outer Hebrides, so you're gonna walk, son. Pick and mix, shall we? Bam, there we go, that was easy. Asylum seeker who surprised sex teenager cannot be jailed as it would breach his human rights because he had a bad childhood in Syria, allegedly. Yeah, no allegedly for him, yeah. If you look like me, it'll be, oh, he alleged he was a carer. He alleged he hadn't committed any crimes. No allegedly on that. How do you prove this stuff? He probably isn't even from Syria. They just burn all the documents or fling them in the sea. It's probably from Morocco or Algeria or Pakistan or India or anywhere else that isn't actually at war with anyone. Hassan Abu Haile, we'll just call him Dave. We'll just call him Dave. I'll get in trouble if I keep repeating that name. A very dangerous asylum seeker named Dave surprised sexed a teenager, but he can't be jailed because it would breach his human rights. Boo-hoo. Dave was found guilty, but they can't send him to prison. Marvellous. So there you go, Diddle the kids, no jail time because you had a bad childhood. Type true things on Twitter in a mildly offensive manner because you get very, very, very upset when you see little girls getting stabbed in the eye by random foreign men that we imported 3 years in the nick. Yeah, cheers easy, mega fair that in it. To sum up, the UK is an embarrassment, the UK is a joke, the people running it despise you, and if there is any justice at some point, they will all end up locked in the same cell Mr. Cousins is currently forced to inhabit for the crime of typing true things in the shadows of an atrocity that appalled the entire world. But that's just my opinion. If you think dragging a teenager down an alley, cutting her clothes off with a rusty machete, and then banging her like a barn door in a hurricane, regardless of how she feels about proceedings, if you think that's a reasonable act and those type of people shouldn't go to prison, but this fella typing a little bit aggressively should, please let me know in the comments so I can phone my friends in social services and have them forcibly drag you from the house, throw you into a padded cell, and ensure that you live off mashed bananas and strong sedatives for the rest of your life. Okay, thanks for tuning in, ladies and gents. I'll link the story in the comments, and I hope that made your piss boil in the bag. Thanks for watching. See you tomorrow. Toodle pip. Cheers.